right, you have learned so much about how to enter transactions in QuickBooks Online. Now it's time to actually, see the fruits of your labor. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on reports on the left-hand side. Here's something really cool that sometimes new bookkeepers or business owners don't realize is that QuickBooks is making all of your reports for you in real time and updating them the second you enter a transaction. So your profit and loss report is always here. It's not something that we have to do, right? As long as you've categorized the transactions from the bank feed, they're going to pull through into the profit and loss. So here's a few things to look at. You can change the dates of your profit and loss report by clicking this drop-down menu and choosing what you want or doing custom, and then you can set your dates however you would like. So for example, if I just want to do December, I can set those dates in there. For your columns, you also have several options here. You can do days, weeks, months, quarters, years, customers, vendors, employees, products, and services. And this should be going away soon. Tags are going to be a thing of the past. So this is a great option. I personally love to run my report by months, and I typically like to do, so in this case, since we're in January of 25, I'm going to do last year. And I like to do them by months. And let me show you what that looks like. So it literally creates the month-over-month report. And what this is useful for is analyzing trends in your revenue and your expenses. So this client doesn't have any activity before August of 24. So let's just change this date right here to August 1st so it fits better on my screen. Okay, so we can analyze the trends here and look for things that stand out, that seem out of place. So for example, pest control services are 70, and then suddenly negative 100. So if we wanted to investigate what this transaction is, all we have to do is click on it, and that's going to take us to the details. So your profit and loss report is going to show you your revenue minus all of your expenses to get down to the net income. And what I like to do with this report, again, is just sort of go through everything with my clients and just make sure it makes sense. So this really doesn't seem like it makes sense. So Amy's Bird Sanctuary is a client, and for some reason, we're showing a credit memo for pest control services, whereas pest control services is probably not a service that we're offering. Typically, let's see. Oh, it is an income. So this is a refund of our income. So the reason that this is negative is because they probably billed for this service in a different period, or they didn't code the original income transaction to pest control services. Maybe they put it somewhere else. And either way, anytime you see a negative transaction on the P&L, that's something to investigate. We don't want negative numbers on our P&L. So this needs to be matched against the original transaction or the original category. Okay. So scrolling down, we can look through and we can look at all of our revenues, all of our expenses, and we get down here to our net income. And so this is how you run the P&L reports. I never want to see miscellaneous or uncategorized on any of my reports. And so that would be a big red flag for me when looking over this report. Now, if I want to send this report to my client, I can email, I can print, I can export it to Excel or a PDF. You have all kinds of options here to get this report to your clients. You also have some customization options. So if you don't want to show any rows that are 0, you can do, show columns and make sure you just do active. You can do all, or you can do non-zero. And then you always have to re-click run report if you make any changes. You also can compare it to like a previous period, so maybe a previous year, and you can do dollar change or percentage change. You can make this report do percentages of the row or the column. So there's a lot of really cool options here. And again, it's going to be more useful when the client has more data for us to compare. Finally, the last thing I'm going to point out about running the P&L in QuickBooks, you can just change from cash to accrual right here. Let's get rid of this right here. It's making it too ugly. There we go. You can switch from cash to accrual. And again, we can kind of look and see like, okay, when we're in this basis, we're at negative $3,845. If I do accrual, that number should be different. So see how it's different? And again, that's going to make adjustments for when the money was collected or spent versus when it was earned, right? Or due to be paid, right? Like we've actually used up something. So again, P&L report, we have a lot of cool options here to customize. You also can click collapse. So see all of these down arrows where we have job materials, but under that we have sub accounts. If we want to collapse and clean things up, we can click on collapse, and now it's tightening up that profit and loss report. So I really like that. So again, it just depends on the level of detail that the client wants to see. You can also change this. So instead of having it by default, which is alphabetical, you could put your totals in ascending or descending order. So basically looking at your most important categories first. You do have that option. All right, you can add notes or edit titles as well. My recommendation, as you are learning QuickBooks Online and you're getting familiar with these reports, click all the buttons, like come through, test everything out, see what everything does to really familiarize yourself with what your options are. And also just take it with a grain of salt that everything in QuickBooks is probably going to change. So right now we're in one view. Notice right here it says switch to modern view because QuickBooks is messing around with changing the way that reports look. I personally think the modern view is so ugly, but that's just me. I just hate it. So I think at some point we might not have a choice for which view we get, but the modern view is going to come with some different tools. And they've put this in a different way. So one thing I do like is scheduling the reports. So if I want the P&L to go out to my clients every single month on, say, the 15th of the month, I love that I can just schedule the report and then have that be ready to go out to my clients without me having to do anything. So again, this feature may or may not exist for you. It may or may not be showing for you. It's something that they've had before, and then they took it away from where they had it. And it's kind of moved around in QuickBooks, but you can schedule these reports and you can basically have them sent to the client's email or to your email, whatever you want it to be. And you can put a little message in here and then just have us auto send those key reports every month or every week or every day. Reports that I think would be good to send other than the profit and loss of the balance sheet, maybe your accounts receivable if they invoice customers or their accounts payable if they enter bills. So this video, we went through the profit and loss report. The next video, we're going to talk about the balance sheet. But you also can, again, just click on reports and come in here and explore all of these different reports that QuickBooks Online is creating for you automatically as you enter transactions in QuickBooks.